Hello everybody, welcome to our final episode of Cape Rugby TV. This is our final episode for the year. Of course, big thanks to our partners on board with us. Score Energy Drinks. As you know, you can win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks during the course of the show. We give you a last chance in this year to win that fantastic prize. Also, together with a set of masks courtesy of CTC Sports and of course MChem 24-hour Pharmacy. You can see MChem behind me here now, MChem 24-hour Pharmacy and Score Energy Drinks and CTC Sports partnering with Cape Rugby TV. Folks, tonight is our final episode of the year. This is season 11, episode 52. And of course, we know that you are heading into the new year now. And it's certainly has been a challenging year. Coming up on the show tonight, we'll be catching up with Jono van der Walt from False Bay. We speak to Gareth Jordan from Unimil. We speak to Jason Hechter, assistant coach at Durbell, and Reginald Pfeiffer, who's been so instrumental in chatting with us from Lamont Wanderers. And wrapping it up in our final segment tonight, we'll speak to Faisal Felton from Western Province Rugby. He'll come in studio with us and we'll wrap up the year. So, nice full show for you then this evening as we take you into 2022. On the line with me now, Jono van der Walt. Of course, no stranger to Cape Rugby TV. Jono, nice to have you back.
How's it, JP? How's it going? Thanks for having me again as usual.
Jono, I said it in my little intro there, False Bay, many of the clubs. This has been a difficult year. It's been a stop-start year, but at False Bay, you guys, you haven't taken your foot off the gas at all. You didn't you didn't allow anything to get you down during the year. You pushed through, you kept your members active, you kept talking to your sponsors. It's been, I would say, an incredible year for False Bay.
Yes, JP, I think, I wouldn't say on the field it's been great because we haven't had much rugby on it, although we can touch on that. We have had a few chuckers, warm-ups, friendlies, and some tense competitions. So on the field it's been good, but I think we've probably done very well off of the field this year, and we've had to think outside the box once again, be extremely innovative, engage in all of our teams, our coaches, whether it be online formats, in person, and you know, the old COVID protocols was always there and something that we've just kind of learned to live with. But we've left no stone unturned. We've stuck to our guns. We've trained. We've kept guys fit and healthy. We've made sure that they contribute within their communities. We are a community club. I struggle to find and don't really quite understand how often we get probably not a community club, because I certainly live in an area in a suburb and we are part of a community, and we definitely certainly train there. So we're heavily involved in our community as a community club, because that's what the club sport is. We're an amateur club, and so on our side, we would love to have more rugby. I'm sure everyone would have loved to have more rugby. You know, it's great training and great keeping fit, but even if there's no league, we still want some form of rugby, whether it be 7s, 10s, 15s, as long as the guys are just out there feeling each other, smashing each other, and doing what we all love to do, which is to play rugby. So yes, a very challenging, tough year. I'm sure some people don't mind seeing the back of 2021. And again, just like that, you know, we're all positive and everyone looks forward to 2022. So it's a very short break, some time with friends and family. If you're fortunate enough to travel, you can do so. If not, let's keep it local and lekker, but make sure we're moving and we're fit, because 2022, let's hope we get some rugby.
Jono, do you think that that the year has shown that the spirit of club rugby extends far beyond the 80 minutes on a Saturday?
Most definitely, JP. I think even if you're somebody who's young, between the ages of 18 to 36, you still enjoy some competitive club rugby, or you're part of the Jocks and Crocs, or you're part of the ladies team, or you're under 20s, there is still a space for you, and I definitely think it transcends to past the field. It's definitely it's definitely outside of the 4 white line. And so, but it's also what you make of it. So you can choose to get involved within your club. You can choose to stay connected with those members in the club, or you can also, you know, drift and kind of do your own thing as well.
Did you find in this year, of course, we know that a lot of lessons were taken from 2020, and we came into 2021 having learned quite a few lessons of how to deal with this sort of, let's just say, very difficult circumstances, how to deal with things in 2021. Did you find that there were some highlights for you? Maybe some new connections that you rebuilt, or some connections that you brought back?
Yes, I think one of the big things, and again, this is where technology, social media, websites, online marketing. So False Bay, we chose not to close our doors. We chose to be active. We chose to be relevant. So we kept on with our coaching program, whether it be on the field if we were allowed to. If we weren't allowed to, we moved it off the field into the forest, on the sea. We moved it into a CrossFit box or a gym type of kind of environment. Yeah, and we just kept busy. And what that started to do is, as some of the other clubs closed their doors, or maybe weren't as busy, or maybe weren't as active, we started getting an influx of players who just wanted to train and just be a part of whatever was going on. And obviously, as you know, JP, we're definitely not short of fierce at our club. So some guys tend to gravitate towards that, and it's just been nice that we can open up our doors and just encourage people to come down and train and be fit and healthy.
One of your highlights in the year, from our side, looking from an outside perspective, was the growth of your women's rugby squad at False Bay. We've had Zoe Nordia on the show with us on a couple of occasions, and she's spoken not only here but also in the online educational sessions, talking about how she started off with 5 members, and just by constantly pushing the various opportunities, she grew your women's rugby structure to in excess of 60 players. I mean, that is one of the success stories for False Bay.
Again, firstly, credit to Zoe, just for sticking with it. It has been difficult and challenging because there's been not a hell of a lot of rugby. So the girls have tried to get pictures and get friendlies and try to play, but for a long part of the time it was just girls coming down, having fun, playing some touch, learning about some rugby, and slowly growing. We like many other clubs, have got problems. I think other clubs have far worse problems with us. They don't have floodlights, they share fields with cricket clubs, etc. So, but we have many teams within our club, and we've only got 2 fields. So it does pose other challenges when you have a lot of players. So to keep, as you say, 60, 70 girls happy and busy on a field, as well as on a 20 section of 70, 80 players, and then 270 players in a senior base. So you're looking at 400 rugby players on 2 fields trying to share. There are a lot of challenges, but I would far take on those challenges than have maybe no rugby or no sport happening on a field. So,
Jono, looking forward to next year. When will you guys be getting back on the park?
We've given our guys a very short 4-week break. We went on for quite a long time this year, but we felt that after our internal 10 competition that was such a great success, we didn't want to let any of that momentum slide and give the guys an 8 to 12-week break. So we thought we'd carry on with some on-field and off-field stuff, keep it light-hearted, keep it fun. So we've broken for a 4-week break, and we will resume on the 10th of January, Monday the 10th of January.
Jono, we'll leave it at that, and we'll say to you and everybody at the Bay, stay safe over the festive season, stay healthy, and we tip our hat to you guys for the incredible work that you've done during the year to keep your members active, to keep them engaged, to give them a home, basically, to give them a home and feel a part of a family structure. Well done to you and the squad out there. You guys have done an incredible job, and we say well done, and have a safe holiday.
Cheers, JP. As you know, in the club, the work is never done, and the coaches are always hard at work behind the scenes, so the players can take a little rest. If everybody in the Western Cape is travel safe, enjoy the festive season, and let's hope big thumbs up in 2022. We get some rugby, we get the friendlies going, we get a league going, and let's as they say in America, let's make rugby great
again. We'll leave it at that. We won't comment any further. Thanks, Jono. There we go, folks. Jono van der Walt leading from the front. Of course, pity we didn't have him in studio now, but of course, as we know, False Bay, as he says, they bring the gears, they're never short on gears. False Bay has done an incredible job, as has so many of the other clubs, to keep their members active, engaged, under very difficult conditions, and of course, having to, at many times, make very difficult decisions. But we will leave it at that. And we'll see False Bay, of course, early in the year. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll carry on talking club rugby. Back in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We're taking a look back at 2021. There were ups and downs, there were stops and starts, and a number of initiatives that we saw in the world of club rugby that really took, let's just say, took the bull by the horns and allowed these difficult conditions not to get the spirit of club rugby down. Gareth Jordan, one of the coaches at Unimil, has joined us on the show before and spoke to us a few months ago about how they're reaching out to their players, keeping them active. Gareth joins me back on the show now. Gareth, how are things there with you?
JP, how's it going? All good. Thanks for having me back on. Good to be here.
Gareth, you heard my little intro there. 2021 certainly has been an interesting year, positives and negatives. Would you say more positives? Well, maybe that's the wrong way to phrase this question. Let's look at some of the positives. You guys at Unimil, you didn't stand back for this thing. You kept your foot on the gas and you did everything that you could to stay connected to your members.
Yeah, JP, Unimil, true to form. I cast my mind back to the drought, where we didn't stop and we had to think on our feet and come up with novel ways to keep the players going and keep prepared. That seemed to carry on over into the last 18 months to 2 years, I suppose. And as I said to you guys a few months ago, we made the decision to put the person before the player right back during lockdown. Created support groups and coaches turned from coaches to sounding boards, I suppose. It was important for us to keep our doors open and to show our community and our supporters and our players that we weren't going to be defeated, really. And it was great to see the reaction from our club and from our community, helping each other out wherever they could, regardless of how big or how small the contribution was. And it wasn't always monetary or financially based. It could have just been a phone call or a video call. So back to your original statement earlier on, we've chosen to try and look at the positives as much as possible. Negatives have been spoken about enough.
Over the years, we've seen Unimil do incredible things, from hydration drives to feeding schemes to, the list goes on and on and on. When the difficult times came, Gareth, during COVID, and you realized that people were struggling, life was getting pretty difficult for individuals, their families, the list just goes on of difficulties. We kind of got the feeling, looking from the outside, that Unimil takes to it naturally. It's something that you've been doing for years. Did you feel like you kind of got into your groove? It was not a major step in a different direction for you?
Yeah, I must. It did seem to be pretty seamless. As I've said before, person first. The generosity of the people at our club, and they're willing to go out of their way, like I said, to help anyone, no matter how small. And it's been like that ever since I've been at Unimil, which is about 4 or 5 years now, I think. It was definitely a seamless transition, and coaches, came on board, committee members came on board, players came on board. It was really cool to see everyone supporting each other so nicely.
Gareth, was there a time that you guys had to make a decision on whether or not you open the fields, whether you and do that for the sake of keeping everybody connected?
Yeah, unfortunately, the decision to keep the field open or closed isn't ours. That goes to the city. I think if we had our way, we would have had it open a lot more if we could have. And we did push to keep it open for as long as possible, or to get it open as early as possible, because a community rugby club it's about the community. So you need to keep it open to engage with your members and we definitely felt a responsibility towards them to provide them with that social interaction, whether it be distanced or not, that outlet, get rid of that frustration, or, you know what I mean? We definitely felt a responsibility to the mental side, I think, more than anything else. The side that's not really spoken about too much.
So let's just talk a little bit about the stuff that's not spoken about too much. Have you found during the year, or even the last maybe 2 years, people coming to you and saying, well, you're a club rugby coach, but you're not playing rugby. What could you possibly be doing? And then maybe finding yourself in that under those circumstances where you have to explain to people who maybe don't understand how the heart or pulse of a club operates.
Yeah, I mean, coaching's like teaching, eh? So there is that element of responsibility that you have to look after and care, and I suppose make sure that the people you're working with are okay, really. So perhaps that comes from a teaching background. I'm not too sure. I don't think people really ask questions. I think people were just grateful to anyone that's kind of reached out and helped them. That and I've said it before. It was really inspiring to see people help in like the smallest way. It didn't matter if people had nothing. They might have given of their time.
Yeah.
And there were so many stories of that that I think kept a lot of people going.
Talk to me a little bit about the rugby side of things. Well, we just had almost a 10-minute interview without talking about the actual rugby side of things. The actual skills of the players, the fitness, the conditioning. How difficult was it to manage that? Clearly, in a season where circumstances are completely different to any other circumstances that we've ever seen before. Periodization might have changed completely. Nutrition changed completely. Timing and training and recovery changed completely. How much of an adjustment did you have to make during the year?
I think the adjustment when we get back in January and we have an official preseason will probably be tougher than the adjustment we had to do over the last 18 months or so. I mean, it literally everything went out the window. It was relatively easier right at the beginning because, everyone was sharing their workouts and challenging each other because we thought, we're only in this for maybe a couple months. But the longer it rolled on, obviously the more difficult it became. We had guests, coaches, guest physios, guests, referees, on Zoom calls. We just had so many things going on to try to keep everyone connected. So yeah, you're right. Everything went out the window. I think players are going to struggle to get back into the match fitness mode of things. I think general CrossFit fitness and hitting the tar and having a bit of a run around is okay. But once the friendly starts, I think players are going to realize just how much 2 years has taken out of them.
Last question. When do you guys open again next year? And have you got big plans for 2022?
We're approaching it as the biggest season ever. We really... We're really keen and ready to go. We open up again on the 11th of January, so that's when our official preseason begins. We're really looking forward to it. I think players and coaches and I think everyone's just keen to get their teeth sunk into a full season. We're really ready to go.
Gareth, we'll leave it at that, and we say to you and everybody at Unimil, well done. Nolene and the team. And Ish, thanks for all the hard work you guys have done in this year. Thanks for making the extra mile, going the extra mile to keep the players active. And we tip our hat to you folks, and we're looking forward to the biggest season ever in 2022.
Thanks, JP. I really appreciate your time, and let's hope next time we chat, we've had some action.
Thanks, Gareth. Gareth Jordan there, folks. Of course, the coach at Unimil, and we're looking forward to big things in 2022. Right, folks, well, of course, as you know, on a weekly basis, we go down to MChem 24-hour pharmacy, and of course, MChem 24-hour pharmacy have made a pledge to you, the customer, that they will be open for you this festive season, and they will always be there for you. And I think that this is absolutely fantastic, especially during these uncertain times where we're not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. But what you do know is that MChem 24-hour pharmacy will be open tomorrow, and they will always be there for you. And I love the fact that the staff at MChem 24-hour pharmacy have all made this pledge for you that they in fact will be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over the festive season. And that really does bring a sense of comfort during these difficult times. And that's what we need, is we need that stability, that sense of comfort, that you know there is always somebody to go to. Well, the staff at MChem have made their social media videos in which they've made this pledge to you. Belinda Skabort is the manager of the MChem pharmacy clinics, and here's her social media video.
Hallo, ek is Belinda Skabort, die kliniekbestuurder van MChem 24 uur apteek. 'n Belofte van myself en my span van uitstekende susters aan al ons waardevolle pasiënte en kliënte is dat ons hier sal wees vir jou en jou familie gedurende die feesseisoen. Ons is oop van Maandag tot Saterdag van 7:00 die oggend tot 8:00 die aand. Sondag en publieke vakansiedae van 8:00 die oggend tot 8:00 die aand. Dankie.
So you can reach out to Belinda. She will be there with the pharmacy that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over the festive season, delivering the gold standard, as we've come to know. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll carry on talking club rugby. Back in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. It's nice to have you along. It's the end of the year where we take a look at what's happening in club rugby going back 2021. It's been a fantastic year. Well, it's been a difficult year. Let's just put it that way, where we have seen a number of our clubs, of course, rising to the occasion to make sure their membership structures are active. They've come up with creative ways. Some clubs have created their own competitions. Some clubs have participated in the SCORE, Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. And of course, a lot of clubs have been going that extra mile to make sure that they are connected to their members, that they keep their members engaged, keep activity going for the members by making sure that their clubs stay open, by making sure that they take advantage of the facilities, take advantage of the fields, and giving their members some way of staying connected, some way of staying positive, and none so more than Lamotte Wanderers. Reginald Pfeiffer leading the way at Lamotte Wanderers, together with, of course, his management team at the club. I almost don't recognize him today because he's not wearing his Lamotte Wanderers shirt. Reginald, welcome back to Cape Rugby TV.
Good evening, JP, and good evening to your viewers. Always good to be here on Cape Rugby TV.
Just double checking, Reginald, the jersey hasn't changed. It's still the same. There's no reason that you're not wearing the Lamotte Wanderers jersey tonight.
Jersey still the same, occupation differs. So, been elected as a ward councillor here in Franschhoek, so that's why I'm wearing a white shirt now.
Well, let me begin then by saying congratulations. I think that the community in Franschhoek are lucky to have you, and we know that we're going to see possibly even some new creative social media activity in the world of sport in Franschhoek then.
Yes, most definitely.
Reginald, let's look back at 2021. It's been an interesting year. It's been a difficult year, but Lamotte Wanderers, you didn't take your foot off the gas. You kept pushing through. You kept creating different ways to stay connected to your members. How have you found 2021?
You know, JP, looking back on 2021, for an emerging club like Lamotte Wanderers, it was very difficult. But kudos to our management team. We had to find ways and means to keep the guys active, to keep our community engaged with our club, and to grow the club without having rugby out there on the field. So we started off the year, if we can recall, we practiced using the environment, letting the community see the guys train in the community, utilizing the spaces that Lamotte has to offer. Then we went over and we focused on our youth structure, while our young guys played against various clubs and schools in the Western Cape, just to build our youth structure and to get that development and growth going, not only for young people, but also for our club as well. We also had to adapt to the various COVID-19 levels that restricted for us using the field, then we're not using the field. So we hosted various events. One of those were the practice session or the day camp that we hosted on the field, a whole day event when the guys training, and afterwards we watched a rugby match on a projector in our town hall. And we've been launching various initiatives just to
Why
keep
was
the
it so
boys
important for you? Why was it so important for you to stay active, to open the doors, so to speak?
You know, JP, the importance is the emergence of the club. We're not established yet, and we had to focus on growth. So that is where innovation comes in. You have to look at something different to do so that people join our club and people know what's going on. So the reason why we went so hard on various events and communication and media is because we want to grow this club.
Yeah.
We are a merger between two communities, and we want to show that it's not only these two communities. We welcome every person who wants to come play for the club.
Do you think that it was important to stay active for the well-being or the spirit of the people, for them to see that you're still there, you're still active, you haven't closed your doors? Do you think that that's important for people when they just generally are looking for hope or to stay positive?
Well, JP, that what you just mentioned is the most important thing, I think, in sports. People want to see sport for the not only for the entertainment, but for that feeling of belonging. That's very important. Sport has changed over the years. It has become a home, a haven for so many people out there that will bleed for their club.
Reginald, what comes next for you now? We know that obviously it's been a few days break. What are your plans for 2022? When will you guys be back on the park? Have you got any big ideas for next year?
Well, as mentioned just now about the management team's work, I want to make an announcement that Lamotte Wanderers successfully applied for the NLC funding, and funding in the new year. Hopefully, we've signed all the necessary documents, and we're just awaiting for the funds to arrive. So that's something to look out for, and well done to every member who contributed to us applying for funding. And then in the new year, we're starting on the 3rd of January with our pre-season already. We've engaged with the local municipality on preparation of the field for that date. So anybody out there who wants to join Lamotte Wanderers, get their fitness up, get rugby ready, come join us on the 3rd of January at Lamotte Sports Grounds. We'll be starting our preparations, and hopefully 2022 offers more for rugby than the previous 2 years.
I have no doubt if we keep watching your trajectory of the great stuff that you guys are doing, I think 2022 is probably going to be your best year ever, up to date.
Yeah.
So, Reginald, we'll leave it at that. We'll say stay safe. We look forward to seeing you then on the 3rd of January, and we'll probably have a a couple of photographs or a couple of videos of your players that pitch up on the 3rd of January. So we know you're going to have a full house and you're going to have your hands full. But we'll say to you guys, to everybody at Lamont and Lamont Wanderers, stay safe. It's only a few days to go before practice resumes, and well done on carrying the team for 2020 or 2021, and we look forward to next year.
Thank you very much, JP, and thank you to the Cape Rugby team. You guys have offered us something we've never experienced before. Thank you for the positive comments, and for all the people out there. Stay safe, have a safe and enjoy a joyful festive season, and return safely, and most importantly, don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. We'll leave it at that. Thanks, Reginald. There we go, folks. Reginald Pfeiffer, Lamont Wanderers. Fantastic end of year message there. Don't drink and drive. Such an important message, in fact. And of course, we say well done to the team there that has done such a great job during 2021 under very difficult conditions. We'll take a break. When we come back, we carry on talking club rugby. Don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We're taking a look back at 2021. We're catching up with some of our clubs as we now flight the 52nd episode of season 11. 11 years of Cape Rugby TV, but focusing on our clubs. One of the clubs, of course, that stayed active during 2021, and of course, still the reigning club rugby champions, if I have it correct, is Durbell. Jason Hector's assistant coach at Durbell. Jason, welcome to Cape Rugby TV, Mania.
Hey, JP, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Did I get that right? You are still the reigning club rugby champions.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably have to claim that one, seeing that there's not been any league.
Yeah, you haven't. The last league championships was in 2019, and of course, Durbell walked away with the title at Newlands on the day. So, a classic title to be holding. Jason, how have you found the year? Very stop-start, though. Difficult for any coach.
Yeah, it's been frustrating, JP, especially when we try and plan and string things together and build towards something, and then obviously with COVID having to interrupt it and then having to restart everything all over again. So that was quite frustrating, but I mean, the boys pushed through as well and committed to the end. So yeah, lots of great shiftings from the Derby's boys.
Of course, there was a time for you guys that it was almost on. The games were almost about to start. How was that for you guys from a coaching perspective? A lot of quick planning, trying to get things ready, trying to get things in shape, I would imagine, with an intention to play, and then, of course, unfortunately not happening.
Yeah, it was quite difficult. Like I said earlier, it was quite frustrating. I think we played four pre-season matches, 1 week out, 1 or 2 weeks out from the league actually kicking off. So the players were quite disappointed. Luckily, the guys kept training, stuck to the S&C program and the planning. Obviously, we've got a great background staff as well, helping Warren to make sure that the players are still on track with their fitness and their conditioning stats. So that's been good so far.
How did you adjust from a coaching point of view? How did you have to adjust the type of thinking that you have to do as a coach? I mean, the calendar itself was completely different. Normally you start around January, and your biggest problem is whether or not the players had too many Christmas puddings. But yes, you had that problem this year. But of course, then after that, the other problems also start in terms of conditioning and strength and skills.
Yeah, so from a planning perspective, I mean, we try to stick to the 8-week regimen. So the most recent one was, I think we pushed it up to 9 weeks. Before that, we also managed to hit the full 8-week cycle. Fortunately, our guys have been in the gym as well as a unit. So that made things a lot easier for us on the field, where we started introducing things like wrestling, get up, go forward, contact, get down, get up. So that's been pretty good. The players also enjoy that instead of just running up and down on the rugby field. So yeah, that was good. And our cycle, and then obviously the coaches all had their hand in reaching out to players daily. Just chatting with them on a daily basis to keep that interest there, make sure they were right mentally. And that kind of brought the players forward to training as well.
Is that do you think that that's a new dynamic in coaching from a management point of view, is the outreach to players?
No, JP, I think the one-on-one and the mentorship side of coaching has always been there all the years. I think the only thing that's changed now is the technology and how we go about doing it. In the past, we would go and drink a coffee with the player, and now it's via Zoom or Teams or WhatsApp calls. So it's just the method that's changed, really.
Did you find that there was an increase in activity because, like you said, the technology has changed, which meant that it was so much easier in some cases to make contact? You could literally have a online chat session every night if you wanted to.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot easier. Although I must say, I think a lot of our players were starting to get tired of the constant Zoom meetings and WhatsApp calls. I mean, that's what they do all day at work nowadays as well. So eventually your patience does wear thin with internet and internet timeouts and connectivity and network issues. So.
As a coach, though, I mean, there is also the room to say that's not always as effective as you would like it to be, because you've got a player on the other side of a Zoom session sitting in his pajamas having a cup of coffee but watching Netflix on the side.
Yeah, so from a coaching perspective, we always want that in-person connection and contact, where we can actually physically see the player, read the body language, have a chat with them. From a player's perspective, I think our S&C staff did very well in terms of monitoring the players. So tracking the RPEs, tracking the training loads, just reaching out, asking the right questions about their body to see how they respond. And that gave our S&C staff a very good idea of what was going on with the player.
Of course, the Sevens came along, Score Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. That gave the players an opportunity to put their hand up and say, well, we didn't have 15s, but Sevens is here now. Let's throw our weight behind that. Was there maybe an uptake in the spirit, something more exciting, something exciting for the guys to get their teeth stuck into?
Yeah, definitely. The Sevens did generate a lot of interest from the club. As a result, or something that was to be found surprising, was this latest cycle pre-season. We had a larger uptake of forwards on the field, whereas the backs were all out training Sevens, the backs and the Lucies. So that was good fun, and obviously Andries with the Sevens made it more extremely fun for the boys and kept everyone involved by sending them to different tournaments across the province. So yeah, it was good for us also to work with the forwards and get them on a level where we know they can keep up with the backs in terms of what we want to do next year.
What's up for 2022? Taking a bit of a break now. Let the players relax a little bit. We've already got some clubs saying that 2022 is going to be their biggest season ever. Have you got any ideas on your side?
Yeah, look, a lot of the clubs there is rumours amongst the clubs, and a lot of clubs are preparing for a big 2022. Yeah, the derbies, I think we'll just see what we do on the field and then get the job done.
Well, Jason, we'll leave it at that, and we'll say to you guys, stay safe over the festive season. Thanks for staying involved in the game under these very difficult conditions. We know how tough it has been for you guys as players, as coaches, to keep everybody connected, to keep everybody motivated, and simply just keep the players coming back to the field. And of course, we know that Durban will be absolutely screaming to defend their title, as they are still the reigning champions.
Yeah, thanks, JP. I really appreciate it. And same to you. Stay safe over the festive season.
Thanks, Jason. Jason Hector, of course, Sevens coach at Durbanville. Assistant coach at least. We're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen at Durbanville next year, I'm sure, as everybody else is also. But yes, we wrap up the year, and we'll of course catch up with the coaches and captains early in January. Right, folks. Well, of course, as you know, on a weekly basis, you can win yourself a case of Score energy drinks. Of course, Score's on board with Western Province Rugby and the Western Province Club Rugby Sevens. Now, if you want to win a case of Score, then all you need to do is go to our Facebook page and enter our weekly competition, where we give you an opportunity on a weekly basis to win, at least to spot the logo. Every week we change the logo a little bit. Of course, this week we asked you to identify the logo. It was in fact the Paarl Rugby Club. Made a few changes to see if you could get it right. This was on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. Congratulations, Henny Dirkse. Henny, you spotted the logo, identified it correctly, and you are this week's winner. And we'll be reaching out to you on Facebook Messenger. You can see the Score logo behind me there. And you win yourself a case of Score energy drinks, as well as a set of masks, courtesy of CTC Sports. Henny, we will be in touch with you. Remember, folks, you can find us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. You can also put yourself in the mix to win that case of Score. Folks, we'll take a break. When we come back from the break, carry on taking a look at what's happening in the world of club rugby. Back in a sec. Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. We wrap it up now. This is our final segment, and we're extremely happy to say that Faisal Felton from Western Province Rugby has joined us in studio for our last segment of our last episode in the last week for 2021. Faisal, welcome back to the studio.
Yes, good evening, JP. Good evening, listeners. Always good to be back.
Thanks for taking the time to come and join us. We know that you guys are currently on a break, and it's great to see you in studio with us on this final episode. Faisal, obvious picture here is the fact that if we go back to 2021, we look back at 2020, you guys took so many lessons from 2020 to make it work in 2021. A lot of interesting dynamics. The sports management space has changed completely.
No, definitely. I think, as you said, we've learned a lot. We've come a long way. I think it's always about adapting and trying to, with the viruses here, it's about living, basically adapting, with the virus around us. And I think with the lessons that I've learned, I'm quite excited and looking forward to 2022. I think, we've learned a lot, and I think come 2022, definitely a season, it looks possible.
Faisal, so if we look back at 2021, I keep getting these 2020, 21, 2022 years mixed up. But if we look back at the year itself, a lot of highlights, and you did this in the absence of having a league. I know you guys always wanted the league to start. Of course, these things are out of your control. But if we go back to 2020, at the end of the year, you saw this real uptake in the growth of the women's rugby, and we of course also saw that the same women then came through the ranks to come and play in the interprovincials. I mean, you guys must be, then you went on to play unbeaten and into the finals. That was one of your first successes of the year.
No, definitely, JP. I think, one of the positives of COVID has been the focus from our side in terms of on the ladies. It's given us a lot more time to focus on the ladies. We've seen a lot of, a lot of youngsters, a lot of ladies coming through. And I think the one positive thing is, in terms of planning and preparation and support, it's been great. It's been phenomenal. The success in terms of where the ladies finished off. It's unfortunate that last hurdle we couldn't pull it through, but it's something that we can work for towards 2022. And I think it's also given us now a platform in which we can work now towards, trying to gain that women's provincial trophy. So definitely from a women's perspective, the one great thing is the focus and attention in terms of the needs of the ladies has been a lot more. We've been out there. We've taken note in terms of what needs to happen. So that's one of the great things.
Is it the building phase? I mean, if we look at the women's side of things now, and we look at the high performance element that you have been working on. And I know that you recently finished the high performance coaching for women's course, I think last week, in fact. do these dots all connect? Your YTC program, your women's regional champions that you put on the cards this year? I mean, it all seems to line up.
No, definitely. As I said earlier, it gave us more time to focus on the ladies. But the one key thing is, I think we've had, the support of the ladies. It's just a matter of everything coming together. And I think this time has allowed us the opportunity to bring all these different components together. Like you mentioned, the YTC, I was quite excited being out and being able to be out there at the YTC training festivals to see the amount of talent that we have. And I think the one key thing now is just about how do we nurture, how do we bring those players through, how do we get them into the senior setup, how do we monitor them. I think, previously, we worked, I wouldn't say we worked in silos, but I think previously it's a matter of, the experience and the depth and the talent is there to now bringing everything together. And, I wouldn't say thank God for COVID, but thank, for the opportunity where we had time to focus more on the ladies, which has helped us a lot.
If we now shift the attention away from women's rugby, of course, the club rugby itself, you continued the building of education at club level as well. From a club perspective, going from 2020 into 21, the media marketing and sponsorship workshop seems to have been a big hit for the club structures.
No, definitely. I think, as the ladies, we've learned a lot. I think it's given us time to look at, off the field, trying to focus on, marketing, how to build a club. I think, the next year is going to be challenging, but I think, the support that we have from the clubs and the administrators that's out there, the focus is now you need to look at new ways or, think out of the box in terms of how we're going to get out, how we're going to market the club, how we're going to get sponsorship, how we're going to look at, increasing the numbers. So the virtual meetings that we had have been fantastic, and it's definitely something that will be continuing. The support and, the attendance of these workshops has been also great. So definitely there is a need, and definitely it's something that needs to continue.
You talk about doing things in a difficult time, and you mention the word community in the same sentence almost. Yeah. You must be very proud of the fact that club rugby, club communities, club membership really rose to the occasion in the last 2 years. I mean, I actually almost get emotional about this, thinking about just what was shown to be done, how clubs lent a hand to each other. They looked after their players, they looked after their communities, they continued with outreach projects. It just went to show that rugby, especially club rugby, is far more than just playing a game on a Saturday.
No, definitely, JP. I think where we started off in 2020, where we had United Ways on board, dishing out the food parcels within the communities, helping and assisting. And I think that's one of the great things and fortunate things that we have here in Western Province is the support of our communities and our clubs. And I think from Western Province's side, I would say we're nothing without our communities and without our clubs and the support that we have. I mean, even sevens, calling upon certain club officials to come and assist, it doesn't, you don't have to ask twice. They're always there, they're always willing, they're always keen. If there's anything that we need help in the communities, the guys are there. So the one thing is the guys are on call, they're waiting for rugby to start, they're waiting for communities. Anybody needs help, they are always there, willing, keen and readily available. So that's fantastic.
You mentioned the sevens, of course, that was of course the big highlight again. I mean, you lost out last year that you were unable to do a sevens, but you pulled it off again this year, playing in 3 different venues. You also made the debut for women's rugby in the sevens, and you got the clubs to the finals. And you managed to do that, in addition to that, you managed to do that with a 5.5-hour simulcast broadcast on live stream and on TV. I mean, these are things that have never been done before.
No, definitely. And again, the one thing again is our community and our clubs. And I think what the virus has taught us is the responsibility and accountability that each person needs to play. And I think from the union sides, we've put a bit of structure together. And the great thing is the clubs have come together, the players have come together. Everybody's accountable, everybody's responsible. And I think what we showed with the sevens is that anything is possible. And, together, clubs, community, we will have a season, I think, in 2022. I'm quite positive, optimistic, I think.
Well, I was going to say don't answer that question because that was going to be my next question, and I think it's an unfair question to ask anybody. Is, are you going to do something next month or 2 months or 6 months' time? Because the world is in that space of you don't know. You can plan for the best, but expect the unexpected. it's unfair for us to ask you that question, but let's assume we are having a season next year. It's of course now in a space that you are ready to knock the ball out of the park. All the clubs that we've spoken to, when we ask them what are your plans for 2022, the single words that come from the clubs is they say they're going to have the best season that they've ever had. If you look at what you did this year, you look at what you did last year, and you look at the communication systems, you look at your social media systems, you look at your supporters structures that you have had, for example, through Score Energy Drinks at CTC Sports and United Way, Six Gun, you've got a couple of structures. With all of these things that you've got in place and the ability to communicate with your digital, surely next year can be a fantastic year.
No, definitely, JP. I think it's going to be even bigger and better. I think the one thing that we learned, and I think I said it again with Sevens, is in terms of how keen and willingness we are to adapt. Yeah. And the key thing is the focus for us at the moment in priority is rugby on the field. And I think it's about the players getting back out there, communities getting a lot, getting out there, getting some fresh air. It's not about winning. I think the key and focus for us is the playing of the aspect. The next component is going to be spectators and how we get them back. Survival of the clubs. How do we financially manage, without having gate takings? And I think one of the avenues that we've been pushing this year, which worked very well, a lot of the clubs have received funding, is the lotto. Yeah. And clubs need to understand the importance of the lotto. So yes, we're not going to have gate takings, but the one thing is, I can tell you now, is looking at Sevens, it is possible to have rugby still being played. The question is going to be, how do we incorporate, how do we bring spectators back? And that's going to be a bit of a challenge. But from a rugby component, I think definitely 2022 is going to be a big year. I think from a club perspective, we've got to be optimistic, we've got to be positive. The virus is here, it's not going anywhere, and I think it's just a matter of how do we adapt, how do we make it work. And with the clubs and with the support that we have, I definitely think it's possible. Very confident.
Basil, I think we will leave it there. To you and the team at Western Province, we know that it's been tough times on multiple levels, and we just say to you guys, have a good break. We will obviously keep talking club rugby. We'll be back next week, in fact, and keep talking club rugby. We know that the under-20s will be back, and the Stormers and the Western Province Currie Cup side. So it's still behind the scenes, hands full, busy job.
No, definitely, and I think from our side as well, we want to say thank you to you, Cape Rugby, yourself, Renzel, for all the hard work and the time that you guys always put in, and the willingness and keenness, to put club rugby out there. I think, we've come a long way. I think it's been 11 years since, the production when we started, and I think no other, province can, give testament to what we've achieved over the number of years in that there. And I think again, it's through community, through our clubs, through the support that we have from everybody. And I think come 2022, it's going to be a big year. I think we can only build on where we've come from. And from our side, we're looking forward, to 2022. And we want to wish everybody out there, Happy New Year. And 2022, it's going to be prosperous in that there.
We're looking forward to that. Well, Faisal, thank you very much. Right, folks, there we go. It is, of course, our last show for the year of 2021. A difficult year for everybody. But it's been, again, a fantastic year for Cape Rugby TV. We were able to speak to our clubs. We were able to keep you connected. And that's, of course, what Cape Rugby TV does here on Cape Town TV. On DSTV channel 263, of course, you can tell your friends. But, folks, yes, that is a wrap from us. And we will say to you, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for joining us every week. Difficult year for everybody, but nevertheless also a fantastic year with lots of milestones and lots of successes. We will see you again next week. And as we always say, have a fantastic rugby weekend.